Right, well, fine. So today we want to talk about because rules out vanishes. Saka zvikuitika zvikucha World War 3 here. Hondo yako here futi pasi rose richadengenyeka chichichichi. What I want you to know is that there is no country that likes war. Even the strongest, even the most powerful. Chero nyika inonzi yahwina hondo because war is very complicated. Chero nganzi maihwina, but at what cost? Imagine the number of lives lost, the businesses that go down, the destruction that happens to infrastructure. Saka hakuna nyika inoda hondo. Zvekuti kare pakatomboitwa the initial efforts, the initial global efforts to stop war, pakaitwa pakafoma is the League of Nations. I think imi makambonzwa nezvayo apa. So we are getting into the League of Nations. If this question comes in the exam, apana tinoda kuti munyatsoita yekutsuna. Saka papana president, the American president, vainzi Woodrow Wilson, ndovakati we need a global body that is going to govern matters of world peace. Vakati saka toita sei isusu? Can we at least come together and form a global body that is going to what? To facilitate world peace. Saka in 1920, because this was after World War I. So so after World War I, right, in 1920, the LON was established in Geneva, Switzerland. Switzerland afana kunogadzirwa mawachi akanaka chocolate. Vanopedza paya idzodzo and they have a great economy. Anyway, so in 1920, so the goal was to prevent wars through collective security. Collective security ndeyekuti kana mawirana seLeague of Nations, nyika dzese dziri muLeague of Nations dzikaona kuti kwada kutanga hondo pakangoita nyika yataka imwe dzese dzinoenda kunonomisa iwo. Then they also wanted to encourage disarmament. Vanonga kugadzira mabomba nechichi kuti ayerwa kana tabatana nodaiso vanhu chiregedza kugadzira mabomba, and also to resolve international disputes nekuzoimprove all the global welfare socially, economically. So the structure was that they would have what we know as the assembly, and this had all the countries, right? So all of the countries involved, and then they would have what they know as the council. The council would have the major powers, right? And then there was a permanent court of international justice, PCIJ, and then the various agencies that deal with other humanitarian needs and the like. So now in this structure, Mukansa tangatine the major powers. Saka the major powers tangatine United Kingdom, tangatine the Soviet Union, sorry. Yakunzi Russia, I think we'll touch the history one day. Tine France momo, tine China, and but pakapaita problem manje. Problem yakaitika ndeyekuti iye Woodrow Wilson wacho, the American president, auya neidea America now join. Why? Because it was not just up to the president. Kuti nyika itese ijoine kuti andinda for margin saka nyika yedu yakujoina. No, he would have to go back to the Senate. But imagine nyaya dzinenge tsitika ndechoti due to politics kuti iwe unenge uri weimwe party, vamwe vari weimwe party, vanhu nyaya iregedza kupaswa musenate, vanhu voregedza kuwirana. So the America could not join. The other thing was Americans were also tired of these issues. They were tired of conflict. So they were trying to avoid a situation where the United States would be involved in international conflict unnecessarily. Because nyaya collective security kafana. Yekuti kana vanhu vachinga vajoina imi handika kana vanhu vachinga vajoina vakati tiri muLeague of Nations uko kwaita hondo handi tinodefenda. Makorwa dzimwe hondo dzisinei name. So they did not want to be part of what? Of European problems. And then the USA was also adopting after World War I in the isolationism. Basically, this mentality, so the USA did not join. This was a problem. Another problem was the League of Nations did not have a military. Vanga wasina in army. They required on collective security effort. Then also, they required unanimous agreement on decisions. People had to have a unanimous agreement. Unanimous to kutaura kuti muclass muno kana tikati muri kuda here history lesson. Kana pakasumudza vanhu 9, mumwe wechi 10 akasasumudza history lesson haitwi. So this slows down decision-making process because without trying to convince no. So it ended up being powerless. Benito Mussolini, who was the leader of Italy at that time, he described the League of Nations as a toothless bulldog. And was a bulldog rochisa or tasa faces or but also shabo remember animon nekuti manje changa chakuitika chekuti Benito Mussolini aiti imamuna military and zvinhu zvacho zvamunotaura mukwanise kuinforsa vakatotadza kustopa even invasion yeethiopia. Ethiopia yakainvadwa haina kucolonize yakainvadwa neitaly ichiliitwa naBenito Mussolini akataura vatadza kundimisa. Then pakaita the Manchurian crisis, Japan iri kuataka China. Papa said, League of Nations, muri kuti chiko League of Nations kaya mati. Then you guys what Adolf Hitler Treaty of Versailles, which was part of what we agreed to form a League of Nations. Treaty of Versailles, Russia, Germany should stop building an army, should stop weaponizing, should stop developing its army or attacking other nations. Sorry, League of Nations. So eventually, yanga yatotanga kuluza power, and then it got dissolved in 1946. But this also necessitated the formation of what we currently know as the United Nations. Because now the United Nations was learning from the mistakes of the previous League of Nations. One of the things is even I think munoziva kuti UN ine anonzi peacekeeping forces. Saka itori nemauto anenge achita sei achimirira nyaya dzerunyararo. Because vakazviona kuti zvekuti munoti anzi munoda kuenforce peace imi musina bato rakamirira kuzorwa hazviite sei hazvibude. So the United Nations was formed in 1945. So there were 50 countries that met in San Francisco, in the United States. In the United States. But the headquarters ku New York. So they met to draft the UN Charter. The founding members, there was UK, there was US, there was the Soviet Union, there was China, and there was France. And USA irimo. Of the 50 countries that attended Ningio ya 1945 to San Francisco, there were 4 African countries, namely Liberia. There was also South Africa. There was also Ethiopia, and there was a fourth one. There was a fourth country: Liberia, South Africa, Ethiopia. I'm forgetting the other one. But when you look at these countries, it's very tricky because Liberia had never been colonized, right? So my problems are problems and face many of the African countries. And also remember by 1945, a lot of the African countries were still colonized. Ethiopia was never colonized. South Africa, find out the fourth one. Yeah, so anyway, so the structure now of the United Nations. Structure of the United Nations is a bit similar. To Janga Jiripo Kudara. So I am a founding members at Ataurai. They form what is known as the P5. And this is the Security Council. Leader where United Nations are now appointed from time to time. Aninga Chinzi, the Secretary General, the SG, right? So mu P5 from Dome Security Council. Security Council the founding countries that are Taura. UK, the Soviet Union, and Russia. There is France, right? There is the United States, and then there is also China. Then, vanenge 10 to make them 15 in total. Vanenge vari mumakanso to make them 15. Anonzi non-permanent states. They rotate from time to time. Currently, African countries that are there is non-permanent, DRC, Somalia, and also Liberia. Liberian experience, right? So these non-permanent ones, I know appoint, I know vote, I know decide from time to time. But these ones, this is where I want you to take note of. They have what is known as veto power. Whatever, if any one of these 5 akangoti no chinhu ichocho hachisangana basa ndoda kuti muzvione kunge WhatsApp group rekumba kwenyu. Anditika murimo nemakazens enyu nana mbuya venyu nana maiguru nana tete nevakwasha nechichi, but mune 5 ana sekuru ena ana sekuru vanenge vasingawirana ungatasa nyika dziri pava dzinenge dzinganga kuquestion akadzinako. Izvi zvakaitirwa manje zvakanakira kuti these countries, because they really don't like each other zvekudaro, they don't have the perfect relations. It means when you see them agreeing on an idea, it is genuinely a good idea. I see selfish, I see looking out for self-interest, but it's probably a good idea. And saka the difficulty is an example WhatsApp group ndizvo zvekuti zvoni kana vanhu vakatiwo tafunga kuti tiite party yemhuri muna December mowirirana nemakazens enyu voti party yakanaka party iri bo handei kupati makazens ako ekushungidzwa kuti wekuchiredza kuti sekuru wekukadoma wabva wangoti nguva ino haisi yekuita party, inguva yekumboita zvimwe zvinhu yekumbogadzisa zviri musha. Party yatodhapa hazvina basa kuti mamawirirana muri 430 mugrupu rese kana pangoita 1 sekuru. So ndo zvakaita these guys, they have what is known as veto power. So the problem that this poses is like, look at what is happening currently. USA is involved in what is involved in nana Irana. Achamisa USA manje kana vamwe vanhu vese vakati hondo haina kunaka, USA vati I am justified kuti ndinge ndiri muhondo ndiri kuziva zvandiri kuitira hondo iyoyi, chero mukada kuti hondo yakashata zvinobva zvashaya basa. But mukatoenda like right now if you check kana kuti mukanotarisa pamawebsite avo nichianonga chitaura kuti hondo iri uko haina kunaka, musadaro musaite zvamuri kuita izvozvo zvaitsi. It's not very good, but sometimes that's all they can do because of the structure. But generally we can say the United Nations to a certain degree it has been a success. Nekuti fungai kuti takati taita isusu First World War, within a matter of few years papaita Second World War, but since Second World War we have not heard anything chada kusvika ku Third World War. So in that respect they have done their best to maintain peace. Vanowo zvimwewo mafailures nemachallenges avanenge vainawo zvakaita sekuti magenocide akamboitika kuRwanda uko between those two tribes. Vanogona kunge vakatadza kuzvikontena pomboitawo zvimwe nezvimwe, but there are some countries also akastopa akaita disarm handiti maweapons avo due to the monitoring and the enforcing of the United Nations. But this is a quick recap or a quick history yekuti League of Nations yakafamba sei, United Nations yakafamba sei. Apana izvi zvikaamuzama izvi ngatipedze. Now finally, to end this, I want to give you important news. Wafana, we have a big lecture that's coming, but maitiro atikuita lecture yanenge ari different, right? On the 17th of April we are all meeting pa HICC apa, handi mapaziva kuzasi uko kune Rainbow Towers. Pa HICC tikusangana munonzi muJacaranda room, handiti kusangana munonzi muJacaranda room at 5:30 p.m. We are having a history comedy night. Toda kutira kuti history dzinyatso kunakidza yafana munyatso appreciate. So we are going to have zvinhu zvakasiyana siyana. Tichaita quiz, vanhu vachiwina maprize, then poita comedy kuti mumboseka but muchirangarira musazokanganwa information. Then we have some interesting history lecture topics. We have some plays to demonstrate some of the this is going to be a wonderful night. Saka wapana imi moenda munozana babo yenyu, matickets abuda kudhara, they are available online. Anditika ukakwenda pa www.thesleekpastor.com munotenga matiketsi papo, whether watenga neikokeshi, watenga nebhenki, watenga ne1 money, watenga nekadi, zvese zvinotenga ipapo. So get your tickets or you can get them at Express K Pharmacy. Iri kuna 3rd Central uko Express K Pharmacy. This is going to be an awesome night. Haidi kupotswa. Andi chakupai namba dzekufona kana vabereki venyu vari kunetseka nekuita izvi, vofona kuti vagone kuita sei, vagone kutenga matiketsi. See you there.